The power of we was a way of inclusion, a way of inviting anyone who needed or wanted a place to belong.
It was just very clear to me that this was something that would really benefit the young folks right here.
And to be able to give them a different perspective, that I know where they come from, I know what they're experiencing because I was there too, and letting them know that there's different actions that they can take that'll lead to a different destiny.
We really needed to hear that. In order to change our community, we needed to hear that.
And they are inspired to invest in making it happen. That's powerful.
Good morning. Yay, let's go. Let's go. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Wow. Oh, man, the weekend was great. Yes, it was. But, Jed, what's that? I know what in tarnation happened to the weekend. I don't know. But you know what? It got us to today, right? And what is so important about that? Well, to start with, we have just fulfilled and are in the midst of fulfilling one of the greatest promises available. And that's the one that guarantees that where two or more of us comes together with the same mindset, heart set, soul set, well, you got it. Something wonderful. It's not might, coulda, woulda, should, might possibly happen. It's gonna happen. Let's go. Come on, y'all. Wake up, and stay up. Can I get an amen? Yes, that's the bell of purpose. And I ring it in the same tone with purpose. I'm going to tell y'all something. Listen, if you want to change this world, then you have to learn how to manifest. Okay, you hear me? You got to learn how to manifest, which means, now this works on both sides of the aisle, so be careful here. You know, when you mean something, that means that utterance, that thought, that word, that action. When you mean it, any one of those, I guarantee you somewhere in the universe, it becomes meaningful to someone else. So take that with you. Make sure you mean it. You know, we heard it. Cross your eyes, not these. Cross your T's, Lord Jesus. Cross your T's, dot your I's, let your A's be A's and your nays be nays. Just don't sit in the middle. Do something. Be something or the other. Just don't sit in the middle. Can I get an amen? You guys, I'm so excited. Today, you know, Mondays are special here on, well, every day is special, but Mondays in particular, because I always bring in somebody really exciting. And thank you guys for Friday. I missed you guys. Thank you for all of your well wishes and your prayers. My husband, Brian, he had his little outpatient, little bitty hernia surgery, and he's fine. Taking the week off, just gonna sit back and milk it. I mean, I'm just saying he's still sleeping, so Mom's aware. But I like it. You know, it was nice. I gave him, you know, we had balloons and Goodwill cards and Goodwill bouquets. So don't move. You know, I was like, oh, you know, don't you just love to love the people you love? I know that sounds like a lot of love in there, but it is. It's just like when I introduce people to each other. I always say, I want the people that I love to know the people that I love. How about you? You know, welcome to the show at this point, as we do every bathrobe moment show. This is Lucy. You guys remember her. She's been here every day for the last 6 years. She is my sidekick, my version of Ed McMahon. Welcome her to the show, Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. Now, listen, when you hear that bell, it's a reminder. It's an opportunity. It is because we're busy people nowadays. We do so much from these chairs at home. And, you know, just like that bell, the truth, it has a ring to it. And I just want us to not forget when we have those opportunities, snatch them out of it, grab it and put it somewhere on your person. Take it with you. Okay. Today, John T Krotek. Do you remember him? He was here. I remember when I first saw John come across my world. He just went through, and he kind of reminded me of that guy. Remember the guy whose son Adam died way back in the day, and he had that show. Remember, he was like a host. America's Most Wanted. Is it America's Most Wanted? I think, yeah, him. That guy. He reminds me of that guy. What's his name? Somebody put in the comments. And he just, you know, it's like that guy. It's like he felt like a Regis Philbin to me. He just did, and he still does. I know that this guy is one of those people that one day I'll be standing or sitting somewhere and I'll go, you know what, y'all ain't gonna believe this, but I had him on my show back in the day, and they're gonna like, next thing you know, you're gonna say you're in the hot tub with Oprah and Gail. You know, I'm just saying, but I don't care if you believe it or not, because I know it's gonna happen. So let me tell you a little bit about John. He's an entrepreneur, he's a speaker, he's a writer, and he's an Army veteran. And he went to work in corporate America and realized that despite doing well in the job, he wanted something more. So later on in life, he joined the Army with the purpose of serving his country. Okay, thank you for your sacrifice. So then he went on, his wife, he got married, blah, blah, blah. I know, I'm like, yada, yada, yada. Sorry, John. I'm trying to get to some juicy stuff. So in 12, oh, wait a minute. I just used one of the off limits words. I'm serious. I have a list over here. There are 3 words that I'm trying to eliminate from my vocabulary. Here they are. Succulent, juicy, and moist. I just have a problem with them. I just do. I can't. I'm like, no matter how you try to frame it, it just. Ugh. So anyway, okay. So the ooey gooey chewy center. Here's something. In 2012, John says he hit rock bottom, and we're going to find out exactly what that means. Now, he survived a traumatic brain injury, which was caused by an alcohol-fueled traffic accident. Wow. This unleashed his demons and forced him to finally cope with the trauma he experienced at a young age. Now, right there, that's enough right there to get him in here. Listen, he's been here before, so, you know, you guys kind of put him through his paces if you want to with some questions. He said he's up for anything. So, but I just want us to remember that, you know, we're here for another illuminated conversation, which means we put our hearts into it, put some hearts on the screen, and just be sweet as can be as we welcome that all-around guy. Here he comes, John T Krotek. Hi, John. How are you?
Woo! Are you kidding me? The energy of your introductions is phenomenal. I'm not going to use any of those words.
So funny.
Let me just say, I'll pick out a different one. Palpable. Okay. The energy is palpable. It's real. And
almost cut it.
You can almost cut it. And, you know, and let me tell you, the power of we is awesome. I love that. I saw that
Thank
blurb. Can I use the word blurb? Just thank you for having me back again. It really means a lot to me. And I got to tell you, Lauren, one of the coolest things about your show, and I've caught quite a few of them, is you have this amazing way about you that makes your guests feel like superheroes. And when you can do that, it makes people feel special. And anytime we can make somebody feel special, that's a good thing. So God bless you, and thank you for having me back.
Thank you for that. And you're right. And it's because we all are super heroes, and we all are special. I remember when I was in in foster care, I think I was in probably 6th grade. And you know, they always put you in the what back then they called it special ed. And I remember they were just starting to test out the term special needs. And I was like, well, duh, aren't all kids special? And don't all kids have needs? So that was long before it stuck. You know, I think we were like the beta testers for that terminology.
No doubt, right? No doubt.
Special. Yeah. So, John, say your last name, because I said when I was waiting for you to get in, I was like, have I ever actually heard him say his last name? Am I saying it properly?
No, you absolutely are. It's KROTEC.
KROTEC.
And let me tell you, back in that time when we were being beta tested, the name was played around with quite a bit. I won't go there. There's probably another word we can't say, but you know, but that word KROTEC kind of rhymes with something else. But it was, I don't know if I can say it, Kotex.
Oh yeah, okay. It's been so long since I've heard that.
Hit the bell on that, but it used to bug me. You know, I was like,
yeah.
Why are the kids making fun of me? Isn't that a real name?
Oh my goodness. That's almost like being Carrie in the shower.
That was a stigma,
you know
right? You know how kids are, you know. So the bully started in early on me, and I ended up being a tough guy, right? So, but anyhow, but it is KROTEC. It's a Croatian name, which is like around Yugoslavia. And my ancestors came to America in the early 1900s. Came out of Pittsburgh. My grandfather never even spoke English. He just worked in a steel mill.
Wow.
And raised all these kids, and they all served. My brother was in a family of 6. They all served the country, and then they instilled in me a great sense of pride in each other, you know, in the family, and it was a school of hard knocks. But you know, it's all good. I'm here. At this stage of the game in my life, I almost feel like the Beatles song, "The Long and Winding Road," is everybody's mantra.
That's a perfect one right there.
You know,
because that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. And you all, everybody, let's all just have this conversation. Because it's a different world, not the show from days gone by, but it's a different world for all of us than it was just a few short years ago. So today we're going to talk about pivoting with purpose. And John, because this is how this came about, you guys. While we were the last few minutes before we went live, I was like, so what do you want to talk about today? And I was asking John about some of the things that we talked about when he was last year, which was pre-COVID. And hashtag planet, so on and so forth. And he goes, I'm going through a complete rebranding. And so that's what we decided to talk about, how to change, how to pivot, and feel okay with it. You know, a lot of us, when we have to change things or, you know, let something go to pick something else up, put something down to pick something else up, die to something to find something that serves us now. It can oftentimes feel like we're digressing, like we failed, or poor thing, what happened with that? You know, and people love to, I can tell, especially in my family, because they'll be like, whatever happened? They don't anymore, because I manifest like them. I manifest. I'm telling you what, and I'm so glad I learned how to manifest, because I used to be like unmanifesting based on people going like, You know, it's like this. Any of you ever remember back in the day when you were into religion and you called yourself getting saved or something? How as soon as, you know, everybody's, or you were a smoker and you tried to quit. Thought you said you quit. You know what I mean? See, you really found Jesus. People just wait for stuff when they know you're on a road to something. They love to pick. I don't know what that is, but you know what? I say this. I used to put this one up on the screen all the time. Haters, hashtag haters. People love to talk about that. But I put a meme out there. I don't have haters. I used to say I did, but I don't have haters anymore. I prefer to believe I have closet fans.
Love that. You know,
stay in the closet.
Yeah, that's great. And that's a great way of looking at it. You know, you raise a really good point, Lauren, about pivoting. And I feel like we pivot all the time. You know, the greatest pivot, I didn't know what it was called at the time, was on a neighborhood sleepover back on a summer between my 3rd and 4th grade, right?
Okay.
And I'm this happy-go-lucky kid, and, you know, and I'm all about Boy Scouts, and, you know, we're having fun, and I'm trusting people, and I'm with my buddies, and I go to this sleepover, and that was the hugest pivot of my life. I was assaulted by a much larger child, and
Wait a minute.
yeah, well, sexually.
Okay.
And
I didn't want to assume.
No. And it was a huge pivot, right? So I went from happy-go-lucky. There's some pictures out there on the cover of one of my books, to not trusting anybody, to hating who I am, to, the biggest pivot, and also maintaining silence. So I started the road of self-deprecation very young. Not good enough. Something's wrong with me. How do these things happen? Where's God? Of course, I'm not going to tell my dad, because somehow it's going to be my fault. And even as a young child, I knew that my life had changed forever. So,
wow.
Questions,
how old were you, John, again?
9, 10 years old, sometime, in that time frame.
Did I was you tell anybody?
Nobody.
Not anybody.
Not a soul. And so questions of masculinity and questions of how do I fit in, and you go off to always try to prove your manhood. The old song, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places, was like a theme song early on.
Lord.
And hating being a guy, and listening to jokes about homosexuals and all of this stuff that kids shouldn't have to be subjected to, right? All through college and in the fraternity, and all this shaking my fist and all about knuckle dragging, modus operandi, and I've got to constantly prove manhood in this world that thinks that that's something noble. And that's kind of what's led me to where I'm at now. We'll get into that. It's your show. I'll answer anything you want.
I got something.
Yeah, go for it.
I got something. Okay, because this is good, because you mentioned it, and this is kind of like a grab bag, you guys. So, anything comes out of John's mouth or mine, just go ahead and say, hey, can we go back to that one for a minute? We'll back the car up. No worries. So, John, you said something in there about where was God, and it jarred something in my memory. I'm going to share the screen. This is on my Facebook page right now. It came up as a memory from a few years ago, and I loved it then. I still do. That's the good thing about the truth. Keanu Reeves, this here. You see, I said posted this a couple years ago, and I still love it even more today. I put it out Saturday. When you're going through hard times and you wonder where God is, remember, the teacher is always quiet during the test. Now, you see it got some shine there from people like, look at this. Sue Anderson said to me, I've known her for years, and I had no idea. I wouldn't have my husband today if it wasn't for this woman and her husband. Seriously, because I was at their house for dinner years ago talking about how I didn't know how to love anything, including myself. And she gave me some clippings of plants that are huge in my house now. Every single one of them. There's 3 of them. And she said, start growing these. So I rooted them. Then she said, then get a fish. Then after that, you go from there. And then I got Ethel and Lucius kittens. And the next thing you know, I met Brian, and now I have my everything. But she told me that if you learn how anything that has life, you can love it and it can love you in return. So I was shocked this weekend when I saw this, where she said, I haven't believed in God since 2003. I think you know why. And I knew there was a tragedy in their family, but I did not know this part. She goes, wow, this statement sure seems like it's speaking to me. And, just now when you said that, and now that I'm reading what I said to her, and I'll read it. I said, I knew this was for someone. I was that same person as you, Sue, for decades. And it was not until the test was over and the teacher called me up to the desk to praise me for the A+ I had gotten on my exam that I realized I had been wrong for such a long time about the teacher. So be encouraged. So talk about, boy, that was a lot for me.
You just gave me goosebumps.
That was a lot for me. That was a lot for me. I'm just keeping it real.
You are keeping it real, and thank you for sharing that, because here's this Catholic kid, right? Catechism and all that, altar boy and all this, and it's like, how does things like that happen? And what you just said is we're constantly pivoting, we're constantly being tested, and Lauren, what you just sharing that little bit speaks to me all about character. And, we hear about it. Oh, every stone of failure is a stepping stone to success and all this. But somehow when we're there, when we're in the thick of the fight, when we're laying on the freaking canvas, it's hard to see that. We're like, we don't love ourselves. We don't forgive ourselves for the mistakes we make. And Lauren, we're never alone in that battle. And shows like
feel that way.
Exactly. Shows like yours. And again, you hyped me up. I shouldn't have had coffee, but
yes, you should.
Yeah. But shows like yours connect us in these stories. And I can't say enough how important it is to share stories like the one you just did. And Kiana, that is important. And now I get it. Just like I made reference to the Beatles song. I get it now. And none of us are alone. None of us are alone. We're looking for our own way in life. How cliche is that, right?
Yeah. Now, see, looking at you, you look like you. I swear to goodness, and I think I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. That somebody's gonna one day you're gonna be hosting some television show somewhere. I know it's going to happen. And people look at you, John, and can say, well, okay, we see Poetic Human there, but then when I put this on the screen, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, I keep that number handy now because I've dialed it several times in my journey. And then you said today, while we were in the green room, that you as well have dialed those same numbers. Talk about that if you would, because a lot of people looking at you would say, him?
Thank you for caring about that, for asking me, because I was in the middle of the aftermath of a traumatic brain injury where I was drinking and driving. I was out with a buddy shooting pool, and on the way home, I nearly killed myself. And what ended up happening was I spent the night in a hospital, and I had hematomas on my face. It's a good thing I didn't knock out my teeth. And all of a sudden, the demons started to surface. Here I was, a respected business person in town, and with this dark secret that I had harbored for over 4 decades. And let me tell you, Lauren, the insomnia, the rage, the anger, the resentment at others was almost instantaneous. I was not physically, but I was very verbally and emotionally abusive to my wife, and thus begun the downhill spiral. Within very short order, it forced the sale of our tiny business that was very successful and that was part of my identity. And before long, I found myself a divorce that I wanted. I found myself embroiled in the middle of a divorce. And the universe has a way of working these things out, right? So my mother-in-law, who was in Virginia at the time, we were in Florida, she slips and she falls. And my wife, in the middle of the divorce, has to go to Virginia to caretake for her mother. And this was all around Christmas time, right?
Okay.
Back in 2015. And so I'm alone in the house. Both boys are gone out of state.
That's not so long ago.
No, 6 years ago. The accident happened in 2012. But these mood swings, Lauren, were crazy.
So what was the dark secret? Alcoholism or the mental illness part?
Was the sexual assault. The demons were coming out. And eventually,
way back then,
40 years of this pent up rage and anger, all directed at myself, but it was starting to manifest. We talk about manifest. This was a different type of manifest. This was a manifest to where nobody wanted to be around me. My business partner was my wife. All my friends were like, what's wrong with him? People were disappearing.
Were you just an asshole?
Yeah. Rage.
But did you know you were?
Yes.
I mean, because a lot of assholes know they are.
No, I couldn't contain it, and really what it was, once I got to therapy, and we can get to there, but really what it was all, I couldn't direct it at myself. So I had to direct it outward. So wife leaves. I'm by myself at home, all by myself. And I'm starting to feel sorry for myself. The victim, how can I need to turn this around. I don't want to start over in my mid 50s. So I drive all the way to Virginia. I surprise my wife at her childhood home on Christmas Day. And she kind of looks at me. She invites me in. And for all intents and purposes, she said she wasn't ready for that right now. Told her I didn't want to get a divorce. Probably the best thing if I just leave. So I hop back in my truck. I drive all the way from the Richmond area, Virginia, down to Jacksonville, Christmas Day, 2015. And I'm up all night. I'm pacing. There's absolutely no sleep. The next morning at the breakfast tables, just me and a lady working there the day after Christmas. And I'm not feeling good. I'm like, something's not right. I hop in my truck, and on the way home.
When you say not feeling good, John, do you mean physically or
emotionally?
emotionally?
Yes, sir. And I didn't want to be here. So I'm thinking of ways, how am I going to do it? Oh, there's a semi. Maybe I can just cross the median and drive into that semi. And something told me, Lauren, I know you can relate. Something told me, make a call. So I asked something, whatever. But I know what it was. It was something. So I make the call, and there's a young lady on the other end of the line. And she told me, we can't save your marriage right off the bat. I told her what was going on. She says, but we can save you. And I thought about that. And
she's good at her job.
She kept me on the line for almost an hour, 45 minutes. And she literally, and I'm not joking, she talked me off the ledge. We hear about that, talked me off the ledge. No, this was real. I didn't want to be here. I was in a dark, deep hole. The demons were laughing at me. Do it, do it, do it. And something else told me, no, don't do it, do it, do it.
There it is again. Something told me something else.
Something told me something else. So long story short, and I try to do that because you get me going.
Go ahead.
I got into cognitive behavioral therapy, and she told me the same thing.
I see that in your bio. Okay, go ahead.
And she told me, same thing. We can't save your marriage. You need to focus on yourself. We're going to save you. And let me tell you, Lauren, this is what I did for 8, 9, 10, 11 solid months. I sat there on one-to-one cognitive behavioral therapy, and I turned it around. And it was all about self-forgiveness, self-love. And the week before that,
the difference. Why didn't you just say therapy? Why did you say cognitive behavioral therapy? For people that don't know the difference, I'm married.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tell them how you got to that place.
Well, it's how our mind works. Human mind works, it tries to survive. So when something traumatic happens to us, we start this litany of whatever happens to you, it's somehow our fault, or it somehow makes us less than. And so all of our lives, we don't forgive ourselves. We don't love ourselves for what happened. And it always becomes something outward. We're always looking for acceptance and approval from others because we can't approve ourselves, right? For the first time in my life, Lauren, and thank you for asking about their cognitive mind, start thinking. And for the first time in my life, I forgave myself. I forgave the kid that did that to me. And I started thinking about love, real love, and not just knuckle dragging type of love to prove manhood. Come on. And
what were you forgiving yourself about? Since you were the victim, though.
Just forgiving him first, and then forgiving, self-forgiveness goes in there with that, because for somehow I thought it was my fault that happened. So I was forgiving myself for that happening. Where was God in all this, and where was I? How did I allow?
And then the stuff we cast upon other people, simply because we feel like the world owes us. You know what? Because hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people hurt people. I couldn't say it enough, and that's not cliche.
Right. That's what we forgive ourselves for, of course, because we took it out on people many times. Kicking the dog,
Oh my gosh. So many times I hated myself. On the outward, you'd say I looked like this confident guy, and I probably was, but on the inward side, I was this asshole, as you so said. I didn't say the word.
Why do you think you let it? Why do you think you carried it so long?
Because men aren't supposed to be weak, right? We're not supposed to show our feelings. We're supposed to be Superman, and so that's the banner that guys carry. This in this need to feel strong and masculine, we hide our weaknesses or the traumas that happen to us. So I showed my wife love, something that I'd never really showed. Patience, something I've never had. Now, let's get it, let's do it. And so about a week before Thanksgiving in 2016, I get this beautiful card, and I still have it. It's in my dresser upstairs. And it says something like, John, I just want you to know that I called my attorney this morning, and I've decided that I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And I've seen a change in you, and the divorce is done. We're done with that. I love you. Keep going, John. And I got to tell you, Lauren, I was by myself in my home down in Florida, and I dropped to my knees, kid you not, and I cried like a baby. It was the first time in my life,
Same thing.
you know, I think I was 56, 57 years old, that I had ever felt that I had earned something. I had earned back the love and the trust of a woman who I had literally freaking put through the mill. And why she stuck with me, sometimes I wonder. And she did. And I've been working. I'm still a work in progress. We've heard that, but I'm still working on the relationship, communication, and things like that we all know about. But love, it cannot be understated enough. It's what you're doing with the power of we. It's because you love the humanity. Love, it cannot be overstated. Love doesn't mean sex. It's something, I think, even though that's a deep thing, I think that it's something at a higher consciousness state. Love wins every flipping time, especially if it's authentic and you mean it, and it's not just some motive driven agenda.
Something
to win
with an angle.
Yeah. And so
Have an angle.
there you have it. And so we talk about pivot. So there's another pivot. But now, and then we did Green Zone Hero, and then we did #Planet and Straight Outta Combat Radio and Task Force Zen and all these things that I've tried to throw myself into to make the world a better place. And it's all come back around to the Poetic Human. And the Poetic Human is not about written poetry. It's about something much deeper. It's about changing and being on a mission to address this leadership crisis that the world has found itself in. And it's global. You know, we've talked about it. Everybody knows it. Everybody feels it.
Correct.
Just recently, the United Nations said, and I don't want to get quote happy or statistic happy, but, you know, they in their latest report, just year before last, they say that the world has entered into a new era of conflict and violence. And we figured out the major war thing, right? Those have decreased, but homicides around the globe have become more apparent and more frequent. Gender-based attacks are increasing dramatically, and crimes against children have mushroomed.
Just crazy.
And all of this is taking place in a world led primarily and dominated by men. And I'm saying it right out there right now. We're in a crisis, guys. We are in a crisis. And what I'd like to do, Lauren, with people like yourself and guys like you and women and whoever wants to get on the bandwagon, is I want to work hard to change the narrative and the mindsets about masculinity and male leadership and the status quo leadership models that aren't working anymore. I mean, come on, just look around. Improve communication between men and women and the sexes, and make the world like what you've been doing, Lauren, to make it a better place. And it's not cliche. We have an obligation to humanity to be real, be authentic, be human, be poetically human.
Yeah.
Answer that calling. Have a real purpose. Don't group think. Think for yourself.
Correct. And when we come back from our break, we're going to get into that, discovering our soul's purpose and what it means to be a poetic human. So you guys, we're going to hit your comments and your questions. So I want you to think about it and think about this as we go to break. What do you feel right now in this moment is your soul's purpose? Drop it in the comments. Let's talk about it. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
The power of we was a way of inclusion, a way of inviting anyone who needed or wanted a place to belong.
It was just very clear to me that this was something that would really benefit the young folks right here.
And to be able to give them a different perspective, that I know where they come from, I know what they're experiencing because I was there too, and letting them know that there's different actions that they can take that'll lead to a different destiny.
We really needed to hear that. In order to change our community, we needed to hear that.
And they are inspired to invest in making it happen. That's powerful.
How you doing? Hey, thanks for stopping by. It's Lauren Michaels Harris, and I've got a question or two. The first one is, has it ever felt to you like life has been dragging you back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, between hell and back? I know that feeling. What about this? Have you ever felt like you've been punished or are being punished for something in your past? You know, you just can't seem to get past that proverbial bathtub ring, if you will, of pain, fear, or shame. Me too. But listen, there's some hope. It's in something inside my world that I call P3, the Journey Series. It is a tried and true formula that will take you and help you work your way from where you're at to every place in this universe you want to be. It is time to start living on the other side of all those scars. They prove to us that there is healing, but they also are a door, a magic carpet, if you will. Why? Because every single scar comes with a message. Every single scar comes with a voice. Come on and learn how you can find your way inside your own divine purpose. Do yourself a favor, hit the blue button and join me, won't you, for a 90-minute free preview of P3, the Journey Series. I guarantee you, if you challenge yourself, just challenge yourself this one time, you'll be so happy you did. I promise you. See you inside. Hit the button. Welcome back to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris, and I just wanted to say, if you are interested in learning more about P3, head over. Sharon McQueen, will you drop the link in? Head over to my website, laurenmichaelsharris.com, and there's a blue button at the top. Hit it and reserve your seat for your 90-minute free preview of P3, the Journey Series. And also, for tickets and more information about sponsorship, vendor spaces, and how you can donate something that goes inside the 250 swag bags we must get together for all those kids that are coming April 28th, get over to powerofwesymposium.com, and you can find all that information in there. There's all kinds of tabs, and you can also take a look at all the things we've done with the previous Power of We Symposium, Chicago 2018, and also 2019 in Atlanta, the one that got us an award from the United Nations. So get over and take a look. We want to see you here in Chicago with us April 28th for the third annual Power of We Symposium. John, we're back. Welcome back. So tell us about where this term come from, a poetic human. Is this Krotecism, or did you borrow it from somebody?
You know, that's a great question. Anyhow, Bathrobe Moments is awesome. The Power of We is going to rock the world. And every time I see one of those cuts that you have of that, it's like, holy cow, they are doing something that is going to improve people's lives. So thank you for that. Yeah. But poetic human, you know, every single one of us has the potential to create our own personal success. And, you know, we've heard the comment or the poetry in motion. Okay. What does that mean? You know, that's the poetic human. You know, getting there requires us to define what success looks like. And you talk about manifesting. How do we envision this life fulfillment? You know, how we identify these core habits, and then we develop a plan, and then following through with it, which can be sometimes the hardest thing. But the thing that it comes back to, poetic humans are people who believe in themselves. And they believe in themselves through these visions and these manifestations that, Lauren, you talk about all the time. That's what a poetic human is. You know, the reason why you have me back is because we're speaking the same language, and you're giving me this opportunity. So, you know, we're in the same foxhole. I love that. And so if we can, and we talk about habits and the habits that we develop, where do they come from? And I think that, like the poetic human, I think there's certain habits that we embrace. And I think the first one is to constantly seek self-improvement. You know, I'm thinking about it here. Yeah. You know, poetic humans are constantly reading books. We're going to workshops. I know how big you are on workshops and interaction that we can learn from others. And so I think that the first thing that a poetic human does is that we want to be better. We want to present ourselves in a way that improves and inspires others. You know, you have a longer video clip of the Power of We, and you showed it to me last week. And when I was done at the end of that, I mean, I felt like Rocky in Philadelphia up there, that power to inspire people is what poetic humans do. We concentrate on our personal strengths. Have you ever heard work on your weaknesses, right? So we're constantly focused on our weaknesses, and it makes no sense to me. So I'm sitting down thinking, if we concentrate on our strengths, the weaknesses just go away. So we're changing that narrative.
Right.
It's
where you focus.
And then it's where you focus. Exactly, Lauren. And then I always say, think about yourself personally. And I know you love these hashtags. Remember we did hashtag planet, right? But create a list of personal hashtags, mantras, buzzwords, and identify them, write them down, look at them. What do those words mean? Compassion, hope, being gracious, being grateful, persevering, industrious, all these positive words to describe yourself, and think about them. Then don't just think about them.
And let me just butt in there.
No, yeah.
Right. And when you identify them, then stop where you are. And that's the great thing about 360 degrees. If you really want to know the truth about what you're doing, look for the footprints of where you've been. So when you find those words, look around you. Do you see any footprints leading back to where you were that person, where you did those things, where you stood by what you're grabbing for? Because, it's going to leave an imprint somewhere in your world. If you don't see any footprints, then it's probably been because your mouth doesn't leave footprints. Only your feet do.
That is such a great point. I'm already thinking here, if I looked up Poetic Human, you would be the poster child for a Poetic Human. Because what you just said.
What an ugly poster.
I think I was on a poster sometime. But
better a poster than a milk carton. You know what I'm saying? Right.
Oh, yeah.
And that's another thing we're going to get into. But go ahead, because we got a lot of comments. People are picking up what you're laying down, literally.
No, and it's true, Lauren, and that's why we have this mix going on. And so you lay these down, these mantras, these hashtags, these words, all positive, by the way, nothing negative. And then you live and you breathe them. They start becoming you. Let me tell you, one of the things, I'm going to digress here just for a second, but I had this amazing insomnia. I'd be up every night at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, turn on all the lights in the house. This is when I was going through my brain injury stuff. And I would pace the house.
Too.
Yes. And so I'm looking in the mirror. My therapist is saying, John, next time that happens, do me a favor. And I'm like, okay. So she says, go in there, turn on the light in the bathroom. It's always already on. Look at yourself in the mirror and look at that guy and tell that guy how much you love him. Right. So the very same night that she gives me these instructions, of course, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I go in there and I, Lauren, I'm not kidding you. I literally looked around to see who was watching me, and I was by myself. And I looked in the mirror and I said, hey, I love you. And I was done. I had never said that to my life. Right. So this started to happen. And then a week of that starts going by and I'm like, hey, John, it's you again. I love you, man. You're a great guy. And what started to happen was this mindset change. We're talking about these words, right? And I literally started to change the frequency. Here I am, and it's not narcissistic. It's not being arrogant. It's not being ridiculous. It's genuine love for myself. And when you start loving yourself, it starts to permeate everybody around you. So sorry, I digress there a second. So
no,
we have these. Well, sorry. Well, thank you.
I want to just put in there again, because this is kind of what we were. It isn't kind of. It's what we were talking about earlier when I was telling you guys about the plants and then the fish and then because the thing was back then when you said what you said about looking in the mirror, you guys know I've talked about that many times for 20 some years. I shaved my head, brushed my teeth, washed my face, shaved my face and everything else in the shower. So I wouldn't have to look in the mirror. And I didn't have that proverbial mirror in the foyer to do that last check before you go out the door. Or no, I didn't look in windows and reflective surfaces. No one had pictures of me unless it was like this, because I could not stand what I saw when I looked at me and didn't even catch on to that. It took decades.
Thank you for sharing that, because I felt the same way. And which brings us back to pivoting and words and self-love and forgiveness and all this.
Mhm.
So then we come back to, we talk about pivoting, right? So we get back to the word choices and knowing our, conscious choices. There you go, Andrea. Perfect.
Yeah, they're chiming in, John.
That's awesome. And thank you, Andrea, for that comment, because you're so right and you've identified it. And that's cool. And so we know these conscious choices. Am I going to get mad next time I get triggered? Am I going to be the a-hole? Am I going to do the same stuff that I've always done? So know your options. You have the choice. You want to be a-hole, do it. You're not going to make any friends, but make conscious choices to live up to your mantra, your positive mantra. And then the beginning of your show is the perfect example of this next thing about being a poetic human. You maintain enthusiasm and you maintain this level of awe, and people can feel your energy, Lauren, and you're living your purpose. And when you start to live your purpose, like Andrea just said, you raise the vibration. So there you go. Your show, people tune in and watch Lauren because his awe and his enthusiasm makes me feel good. So poetic humans do that. They maintain this higher consciousness energy level that's all positive. There's nothing negative about that,
Right.
Getting people to look at that. And so it's part of it. And then another thing that we hear all the time, and you've talked about this fear level, this vitriol and this hateful rhetoric that's taking place. We need to, as authentic poetic humans, avoid like blaming others and complaining and bickering at all costs, no matter how good it makes us feel. I got that off my chest. Boy, I feel good about calling that person a dork. That's not a cool thing. We got to avoid that kind of negative behavior that just adds to the noise that's destroying the global communication. Come on.
Yeah. And I hadn't realized, went back to the pivoting topic, pivoting with purpose, how many of us, I think everybody in one form or fashion, has had to do this more than we really can even fathom. And I say that because, like, the power of We Symposium, this will be my third one. Awesome. And we were just in Chicago a year and a half before COVID. I'm not kidding you. Every single company, every single school, a lot of the vendors I used and things, because I shop local first, I would say 97% in the schools, none of the people are the same. None. From the teachers to the principals, none of the people that we dealt with are the same. In the companies that sponsored, none of the key players and the decision makers are the same. Zero. I only found one company where the person was the same, and it was the girl who answered the phone. She was the only, she goes, Lauren, everybody else is gone. And so I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I would. I wonder if I would have had the guts to do another Power of We Symposium if I had known that the entire infrastructure that I thought was at least somewhat still in place was nowhere to be found. I'm like starting from scratch, simply because no one is where they were.
And good work for you too, Lauren. And I'm telling you what that speaks volumes.
Scary, I'll tell you that.
Well, you have been on this amazing journey of transformation. We talk about long and winding road, right? The friends that we had in high school may be acquaintances now. It's not the people who we surround ourselves with, maybe. And so that journey that you've been on with the Power of We is a success story. Here's a man that faced fear over sponsorships, and he's transformed from point A to point C. And by the way, Elton John, what was that song? I'm Still Standing. Was that one of his songs?
Yeah.
I'm still standing. You're still freaking standing.
Yeah. Because, you know what makes me feel comfortable in that?
Heart. Yeah.
Well, and it's not, if it was just me, if it was the Power of Me Symposium, hell no, I would not have it. But it's something about that power of we. I know I'm not alone. I know that there are, I didn't do those others. They felt insurmountable, a lot of the challenges, but we did it each and every time. And if it wasn't for knowing, see, that's what I love about I took the ladder of success. When I first started, it was my first bread and butter speech.
Awesome.
Well, second, actually. The ripple effect was first, and then I went to the ladder of purpose, and it was like this. Remember, if you Google show me the ladder of purpose or show me the ladder of success, it'll show people standing on a ladder looking up at someone else's legs or really into the butt of somebody else they constantly crapped on, because it pits us in competition with each other when we're really only in competition with time. I figure if we turn the ladder this way, you know, we have rungs to the left and to the right. We're all standing beside each other, supporting each other, and you hold the ladder like this. Now I can do what they tell us, put your best foot forward. On this ladder, you step off if you put your best foot forward. But on this ladder, you're on the ground, you're grounded. And now every time you move, everything, whether it's to the left or the right of the number line, it moves with you. And that's momentum. That's purpose.
You got to ring the bell on that one. Give yourself a bell ring, Lauren. You know what? No, but that's the truth. You know, and you know what? Which brings us around to the next thing about a poetic human is to develop this network. And you just explained it, of supportive people and build meaningful relationships.
Meaningful.
I mean,
put roots down.
I hung out with some people that were leading me down the primrose path. You know, I don't know what the statute of limitations is on bad behavior, but there's probably times in my life where I should have ended up in jail. We won't go there. You know, this is not to uncover misdeeds. This is to uncover things that can help us move forward. And so developing that network of supportive people, who's in your corner.
How about that?
People that really,
John.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Rules for relationship building. Seriously, because let's talk about that in our everyday lives. I'll start so you'll get the idea where we want to go.
It's all good.
I tell people this. I don't care who it is. If they're like, they call and they say, or they send me something, oh, I want to talk about getting on your show, or I want you to be on my show, or let's talk about this or whatever. Before I go into anything that has any kind of exchange for goods or services or anything, I ask for a face-to-face, not a text, not an email, not even this. If I can get to it, I want this, where we sit down at a minimum on a Zoom call, have a virtual coffee, so I can look into your eyes and you can look into mine. That where you can see, you know what I'm saying? Because body is a language. You
see, Lauren, you're old school. See, I love that. I love that.
Roots down.
You know, how many times have you had somebody reach out to you and your listeners and, hey, I really want to meet you. I really dig what you're doing. And the first thing they do is they send you a sales pitch.
It happens 18, 20 times a day.
I mean, yeah. And I get it. I get sales. I get profits. I get all this. But you know what, Lauren? Meaningful relationships. How can you build trust with a business, somebody you might be doing business with, or an associate or whoever, a partner, unless you develop that human connection first?
Right.
You know, that's how we first met, when we reached out to each other. I don't know how it happened. That's how the universe works. But we had this. You're a veteran. I'm a veteran. We're talking about stuff that unbelievable. We're sharing stuff that most men don't share, but we're doing it. And guess what? We're lifelong friends. I don't care what happens. Lauren is a legitimate person with a legitimate purpose and with an authenticity that you can't find in everyday metrics and emails. Just saying. No disrespect to anybody. But so reach out to that person. You just made one of the best tips out of this whole conversation is get to know the people that you're working with, that you're meeting. You know, I love that. So thank you. Sorry.
And it's true. And John, I'm gonna just say this, you guys remember the competition, right? That, thank you, shameless plug, landed us on the front and the back, but on the front when this was a contest. And I got to tell you, I would have never entered it if I didn't feel that this was a great opportunity for all my friends that I went to. You know, like if you look on the back, there's Tim Johnson, who pays for all the food for life, for the as long as he's alive, it's in his will, for the Power of We. But every person that is been in this magazine, because, you know, I got votes for them doing it, I told all of them, you know, listen, if this is not a great opportunity or a great fit for you or your brand, I want you to know that just meeting Giovanna Salas, the publisher and the owner and CEO of Heart of Hollywood Motion Pictures and Heart of Hollywood Magazine, just knowing her, just putting down roots with her is worth it. She's a wonderful person, and I want her to know you, and I want you to know her. And I sincerely meant that. So it wasn't like, oh, You're not supporting me if a person, and there were people who didn't, it wasn't a fit. You know, the stand man just said, no, we only, we want to support you, but we looked at it, it's not a good fit for us because we always are in this type of magazine only. But no farm, no foul, no harm, no foul. So, but you must feel good about it. And
which is coming back around. I hear you. You know, what you've just described is empowering yourself. And it's something that a lot of us don't pay attention to. It's called intuition.
Yeah.
And that gut feeling, it's the limbic brain and all that.
Yes,
give yourself some credit. If it doesn't feel right with that other person, so I don't think that's going to work right now. Maybe we can circle back, but trust your own gut.
That too. You know why? Why? Because that's a two-edged sword. When you don't trust your gut and you get burned, then what happens when a great opportunity is right in front of you? Now
you shut them off.
When you shouldn't question. You ought to know the truth has a ring to it. Do I hear that ring with this person in this opportunity? Because if you hadn't drugged, or didn't go back and circle around how you got burnt and owned it, you know what I mean? You have to die to something that isn't serving you to pick up those things that will, so that this doesn't happen. But a lot of people, they come to us like now after they've, and they don't trust anything about us because they don't trust themselves to make that kind of decision anymore.
Lauren, you are freaking spot on. We've all got horror stories of people that we worked with that didn't deliver. Maybe they weren't honest and upfront, and then again, the next person that comes along, we've got our spidey senses up, right? Yes. Well, they're just out to take advantage of me. And guess what? That person might be as authentic and real as can be, but because of that bad experience and because of the poor choice we blame ourselves for, not everybody is astute to following their own gut. So right on. Trust your intuition. And one of the other things that you have brought up, thank you for sharing that, Lauren, is what you mentioned a couple of times, that spiritual thing that we need to pay attention to. And I'm not talking about religion and dogma and things like that. I'm talking about something that the universe has put in every single human being. It is that spidey sense.
It is.
Live it. And what did somebody say one time about spirituality and emotion, spirituality? There's like three, and physicality, our physical spirit, our emotional spirit, and our spirit, those mantras that we live by.
Yeah.
You get all three of those. And I talk about leadership, learning, always educating others or being educated, and liberty. What's true freedom? That's the three prongs of the Poetic Human. It's about leadership of your life, the power within over trying to exercise powers over others. It's learning, constantly self-improving and learning. What can I learn from Lauren today? I've got a whole list of stuff that I've gotten from you today. And then it's real liberty. It's real freedom. By what Andrea said earlier, finding your purpose, that's true freedom, is living that mantra, identifying the purpose in our lives, which each of us has and we all look for, and then answering the calling and not succumbing to the group think, being you as an individual.
Right.
You know how powerful that is? Do you know how much better we can make the world when we actually have the courage and be brave to empower ourselves first, not narcissically, I might add, or arrogantly, like we're somehow better than other people, but authentically.
Just true. Just
genuinely.
Be true. Shakespeare said it best. To thine own self, be true. Start there. And
what a guy that guy was, right?
Yes, he was. Yes. And I just want to say thank you, John. And on the screen, you all, is where you can reach out to John at John at JohnTKROTEC.com. He even has provided his phone number. It is tickering across the bottom. And that's also the website. So you can go there if you just want to peek around. Continue the dialogue. John, it's been a real pleasure. This hour has flown by, and I want to thank you for all that you do and for continuing to add and be just a beacon for what everything, should be, as far as just doing everything unconditionally, doing what we can when we can, for no other purpose other than it should be that way. So I'm just so grateful to you. Anything you want to say in conclusion as we get out of here?
Well, you're going to make me cry. No, you humble me and you honor me. And we are brothers. And we're on this mission, and I love it. And the only thing I can say is polarization only works in sunglasses.
There you go.
It doesn't work in a sustainable society. And be open to change, be open to personal transformation, love yourself, love others, and let's just get on with it. Let's make the world a better place. Thank you, Lauren, for having me again.
Of course.
And I'm going to be beaming all day the rest of the week.
Good. And you're welcome back anytime. Keep that in mind, too. We want to know what's going on with you, you guys.
Thank the listeners. Thank you, listeners, for, for hanging out with us. It's been a real pleasure to have you here. And without you, we don't survive or we don't exist. And call me anytime, email me. You know what I mean? So
That's right.
You are superstars in your own right just for supporting shows like Lauren's Bathrobe Moments. And I feel really blessed. Thank you.
Thank you. Same here. You guys, tomorrow, this is really exciting. I am bringing to your attention a 16-year-old kid that I found over in the UK who has a video company that is incredible. Wait till you see how much income this young 16-year-old has generated and continues to generate. He's simply brilliant. Adam Rush will be here tomorrow all the way from London. Make sure you tune in. I'll meet you out front at 8 a.m. Central for our next installment of Bathrobe Moments. Have a blessed day, and you be the blessing. I'll see you soon. Bye. Bye, John. Thank you again. Bye, all.
Show me your soul.